Welcome to Education Perspectives. I am your host, Liza Holland. This is a podcast that explores the role of education in our society from a variety of lenses. Education needs to evolve to meet the needs of today and the future. Solving such huge issues requires understanding. Join me as we begin to explore the many perspectives of education. First, we have Pam McGorry. Pam McGorry was born and raised in Queens, New York. She earned her BSED and graduated summa cum laude from Long Island University, and then went on to receive an MSED in the university. After spending several years teaching in the classroom on Long Island, McGorry joined C-SPAN Television Network's Education Relations team in 2010, where she continues to contribute content to the website and connects with educators and students nationwide to share C-SPAN classroom resources and programs as the Education Program Senior Specialist. McGorry is a member of the National Council for the Social Studies and the WICT Network. We also have Zach Lowe. And as a native of Cortland, Ohio, Zach Lowe is a 2014 graduate of the University of Akron, having studied social studies education. Beginning his teaching career in Sumter, South Carolina, Lowe was named a top 5 finalist for the South Carolina State Teacher of the Year in 2018, 50,000 plus public school educators. After spending 6 years in the classroom, Lowe served as his school's curriculum coach before assuming his current role as the Education Resource Specialist at C-SPAN. At C-SPAN, Lowe uses the network's video coverage of public affairs to design instructional materials for use in classrooms across the country. A national board-certified teacher, Lowe also holds an MED in Educational Administration from the University of South Carolina and a PhD in Global Leadership and Change from Tiffin University. Outside of his professional endeavors, Lowe is an avid runner, serves in multiple community-oriented roles in the D.C. area, and is happily married to his husband, Erick. Welcome to both Pam and Zach. And we are so excited to have Pam McGorry and Zach Lowe with C-SPAN with us here today. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
It's always more complicated when we have two. I love that. So, Pam, let's start with you, and then we'll get the same from Zach, because I am always fascinated to hear the perspective that is offered from our first question, which is, from like a 30,000 foot view, why do you think that we as a society invest in education?
Well, to be as succinct as I possibly can and to reflect on my own education experiences, I think as a society, we invest in education because I think we want an informed public, a public that can contribute their strengths, their interests, and their passions to their communities, but not just at that level, but to the republic as a whole.
Good answer. Zach, how about you?
My elevator speech, I guess, for this question, keeping it 30 seconds or less, is prepare our youth, young adults, even old adults as well, for college career and or military service. So, within the social studies realm specifically, which is our bread and butter, with C-SPAN, thinking about what is civics and how do you employ civics, or what is history and how can we learn from history? So you have the pedagogy aspect, you also have the content aspect, and how does that play out in those three realms for folks that we're investing so much in?
Excellent. And I'm going to go ahead and direct this next question to you first. You're in a very unique kind of a situation with C-SPAN and having that kind of social studies background. What drew you to this work?
Not social studies at all, actually. It was my high school band director. I had not too many friends, I guess you could say, in high school. I was a relatively socially awkward child, but the marching band, the concert band, those areas were safe spaces for me where I was able to connect with other people, find my passion. In that case was playing my trombone. But those teachers, I think back, set the stage for respect, for love, for engagement, for passion and content that Some of my other teachers did to certain degrees, but it was definitely most prevalent in those music classes. So I actually had gone into my undergrad as a music education major until the first question that one of the folks had asked me as I was trying to get into the honors college was, who's your favorite composer from the 18th century and why? And at that point, I realized music is not my passion. It's definitely a hobby. I had made those connections with other people. I loved everything about it. So then I kind of switched gears a bit, still in the education realm, because I wanted to cultivate that same type of feeling I had in the marching band, but now with social studies, which was a second class that I felt relatively comfortable in my senior year anyway. So actually, in fact, I know if I'm going off on a bit of a tangent now, but I had hated social studies until 12th grade. And I had, again, very similar experience like I had with the marching band and concert band teacher, where I had finally this one teacher in social studies that just everything made sense. He was able to relate the global conflicts that we were experiencing at the time back into our classroom, into our local communities. So, coming full circle, that's how I found myself in social studies and in education.
Stories like that are just awesome. And the fact that it connects back to significant teachers, I think is really powerful. I had a very similar experience myself. I don't know that I was a natural social studies person, but my favorite teachers were in social studies, and I lucked out in that section. So Pam, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get to working with students in C-SPAN?
Well, I'd have to say, and this is the truth, throughout my life, there's a thread of working with young people has always been a passion of mine. And so, when I thought about my own educational experiences, what I learned, how I learned, and how it impacted me. And then as I raised my two children, I was very involved in their schools and their education, even from nursery school. So I'd get involved in those areas and thought about how they learned again, what they learned, and took what I could from there and got involved in education programs and groups and started reading a lot more. Just like I said, it was a passion of mine and an interest that I developed. And I decided that I wanted to be really active in the education community. And even my volunteering experiences throughout my life and getting my children involved in volunteering programs in our community was so impactful for all of us. So that's how I started. And I got into the classroom. And from there, just felt like I could have more of an impact and made my way to C-SPAN Classroom.
That is fabulous. And it echoes my own experience. I got involved in all of this through the very involved parent route. And so there's many different ways that you can approach being involved. But I am loving the fact that, C-SPAN as an entity is looking at ways to invest in our student development and that sort of thing. So, and you can choose who would like to chat about this one, but you have a student cam, and I would love for our listeners to know a little bit more about that and maybe how they can get involved.
Well, I can kick it off, Zach. We can talk about this for a very long time, but Student Cam is our annual video documentary competition that we put on each year, and we select a theme, and it's available for students in grades 6 through 12, middle and high school. And the goal is to get them thinking about issues that are important to them and their community, and it provides a platform for their voices to be heard. So it is something that the whole company gets behind. Our team we really manage the project, right? And we're the primary, our other colleague, Craig McAndrew, Zach and I are the primary judges of the competition. So we love to connect with students and teachers across the country to introduce the topic to them. We just launched this year's theme. Zach, if you want to talk about that in a minute, I'll just give the overview. And then we're happy to launch it, connect with students and teachers to help them work through the process. And the deadline is January 20th, 2025. And I will say that's Liza, I love that's how we connected, right? Back in the spring, jumping ahead of myself, when we announced the winners, our team and several colleagues at C-SPAN go out into the communities and try to visit as many winners as we possibly can. We have these incredible ceremonies in the schools, in their communities. We have all elected officials at all kinds of levels show up, experts there just to celebrate these amazing students who produce these winning documentaries. And I appreciate that you came out, and that's how we connected, because it really is about spreading the word. It's all about recognizing these students and having their voices heard and what they see for the future. So Zach, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I was just, piggybacking off of the gracious lead that you gave me there with the theme for this year. Of significance for folks who are listening, January 20th, bing, 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 inauguration day. We have a presidential election cycle going on right now. So this year's theme is your message to the president. So we're asking students all across the country, make a 5 to 6 minute documentary about what issue they'd like to see addressed by the president after inauguration day and why, and what steps should be taken. So, applicable across content areas. And in fact, stepping back a bit from what Pam had just mentioned, how you two both connected at one of these winter ceremonies, when I was in the classroom, probably about 5 years ago now, actually had my students engage in the student cam competition. It was, I've been associated with C-SPAN Classroom for a while. I was in a teacher conference back in the day, teacher fellowship. So I thought, myself having no video background whatsoever, no documentary background whatsoever, I'm going to try this competition. Suffice to say, we didn't win that first year, and then I ended up leaving the classroom after that. But, aside from the winning, from the cash prizes, from these events, just engaging in the competition is so worthwhile. So not only do we have that theme that could be directly addressed in government class, history class, civics class, English class, even with librarians, media specialists, but the process of engaging in the documentary development process, students are interviewing folks, students are researching. So I had a lot of students engage in the minimum wage, I think was the most popular topic that year. So they had interviewed some local business leaders, they had interviewed some local government officials. And while none of the students won, they had all made these connections where later on they got internships with these local businesses when they were in high school. So, there's so many things that you might not expect are going to come from this competition if you bring it to your students in your classroom, but it's all worthwhile, all great stuff.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, just reflect on a point you hit on, Zach, is those interviews and all the skills that the students learn from generating questions, getting out into the community, securing those interviews and packaging it all together and all of that. Really just reflects C-SPAN's mission of providing multiple perspectives on an issue, and not just the two leading parties in the country. And we're going into into our election seasons. It's just providing awareness of others that are out there and just giving people as much information as they possibly can on an issue and on a candidate so they can decide for themselves what they think on an issue. And that's what we hope students will do throughout this process of researching a topic that's important to them, is talking to different people, being open to listening to different perspectives, and then making an informed decision, whatever decision it is, that's up to them. That's their personal choice. But that's it. And so this year, we're really hoping to hear from them. What is the most important issue to them in this campaign season, and their message to the president?
Boy, that's so exciting. And, just putting my another hat I wear is the president of our local League of Women Voters. And what a cool opportunity, and what a great prompt. I'm going to have to move up this episode on my episodes list so we can get people having more time to be able to do this. But it just seems to me that offers an incredible amount of opportunities for other organizations to help and to make themselves available for interviews and those types of things. That is so fun. I can't wait to be able to listen to and watch the documentaries. So does all of that live at studentcam.org, or where's the best place for people to reach out to find out more about the competition, what's involved, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, everything lives at studentcam.org, as you said, including, which is one of our most favorite things too, just in terms of the longevity of the competition, all of the winners from the last 20 years are also live. All of their films for winners, I think probably the last 10 or 15 years as well. We also have pages for them that include all of the different congratulatory messages that they've gotten from elected officials, from their interviewees, press releases, news hits, and things, because we want these to live as portfolios for students as they move on in the next spot of their life afterward. But all the details are there. All the requirements are there on the website, but also say that we're a small team. As Pam said, it's us two plus Craig, who's back at the office today. And we address any sort of concerns, any sort of questions. We exist just to help students and teachers. And they can reach us anytime at our email address as well, which is educate@c-span.org.
Super. I will drop all of those links and whatnot into our show notes here as well. So that is a fantastic and like the model of the great things that you are doing. But there are some supports and whatnot for teachers at C-SPAN Classroom, right? So Pam, do you want to give us a little overview of what C-SPAN Classroom is all about and what listeners can look for there?
Sure. So Craig, Zach, and I make up the C-SPAN education team. And what we do is sift through all of C-SPAN's programs. And we're not just the coverage of the House and Senate. And we're much more than that. Yes, the three branches of government, but we have American history TV programming. We've got book TV programming, interviews with nonfiction authors. We like to say there's something for everyone. So our team sifts through all of those programs and thinks about what would be supportive for teachers to use in the classroom. So we have over 30 subject topic areas, right, on our website, our C-SPAN Classroom website. And so we'll create short video clip-based resources that are free for teachers to use in their classroom. I'll let Zach highlight some of those specific areas in a minute, if that's okay. But just the general overview is they're all free, they're ready to go, and we update them daily. So
a lot of rich resources there. Tell us a little more about it, Zach.
Well, yeah, as Pam said, there's something for everyone on C-SPAN. That said, we also say you never know what you're going to find on C-SPAN because we'll air anything and everything that relates to public affairs. So that'll address U.S. history, government, branches of government. We have Supreme Court oral arguments, so on and so forth. Right now, we have over 8,000 different resources, all free, readily accessible. You don't even need an account to log in. Most all of our resources are also packaged with graphic organizers, choice boards, different activities like that. But just to give you an idea of something that we have relatively, I'd say, free reign to delve into the C-SPAN video library that has everything we've aired since the 80s and stuff way back before as well. So you're talking nearly 300,000 hours of content that we're able to go into. So one idea we had from I think it was a teacher fellow from this past summer that we had join us, was a lesson plan about the Republican and Democratic national conventions and celebrity endorsements of the candidates. So that's one thing I've actually spent my morning today going through, because we have aired every convention in their entirety since 1988. So I'm pulling one example from each convention of celebrity endorsements. So I have, right now, one that I just finished watching actually was Clint Eastwood in 2012 for the Republican convention. And then Meryl Streep from 2016 for the Democratic convention. So you never know what you're going to find on C-SPAN. You also never know what you're going to find in C-SPAN Classroom. But I'd say our bread and butter for our site anyway, we have a lot of teachers in AP US government. We have a lot of resources for that. But really, we're always looking for brand new ideas. So between our teacher conferences, our teacher networks, and our teacher fellowship, we continue to get brand new ideas. So one other example, and then I'll be quiet for a minute, was I was a teacher fellow in 2019, and I taught state history in South Carolina. So I thought it'd be a great project for me as a C-SPAN teacher fellow to mine everything that we had for state history. So we also have now a robust state history collection for all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. So, but that extends to, we've had teacher fellows who have taught economics. So we have economics resources, geography, world history. Again, you never know what you're going to find.
Generally, so if you're looking for lesson plans, those are all mapped out. With most of them have Google Docs with hyperlinks and ready to go. We have bell ringers if you're looking to use those to start a classroom, a short video with related vocabulary discussion questions. If you're looking for current events, we have those too, short videos of what's going on in the country and the world. Our On This Day in History collection, those are super cool. Those are focused on large events that have happened throughout history, a collection of short videos. And we also have our Constitution clips. Can't forget that, since we just celebrated Constitution Day. We've taken the text of the Constitution and paired it with short C-SPAN videos, either showing that provision in action or explaining it. So that's another one. And then we have our deliberations, which are really more in-depth lessons that are framed with a question, and students get background videos with the leading positions on them and can engage in a deliberation, discussion, debate, and they're really customizable. So that's just, in a nutshell, some of the things that we have.
Well, the more that we talk, the more I realize that there are levels and depth and richness to the resources that you have there. I would love for one of you, and maybe Zach, let me ask you, since you were one, what's involved in being a teacher fellow for C-SPAN?
Yeah, so that actually changed during the COVID pandemic. Back when I was a teacher fellow, we would bring fellows to Washington, D.C. for 4 weeks to work in the office 9 to 5 for those 4 weeks. Now that has since transitioned to give some more flexibility to teachers. So it's a virtual-based fellowship, but still it's over the course of the 4 weeks. It's each July. And basically we ask applicants for the fellowship to give us a plan. What do you want to create resources on? How do you want to use the C-SPAN video library? How do you want to make our resources better? So each of them will come to us with a different idea, a different thought about what to create, how to create it, and then based on the availability, based on our conversations with them, we're able to select, typically it's been now 5 fellows each year, and they're able to work with us. And there's also a cash stipend along with that. But just this past summer, we had one teacher thought that it'd be great to make a lesson about propaganda in political speeches. So she mined the video archive for that. We had another teacher fellow wanted to mine the Supreme Court oral arguments. So he had made 10 moot court lesson plans based on recent Supreme Court cases just from the last 10 years or so. And then we've also had other teacher fellows create other things this year. We had one created a Google Doc that paired the text of the Federalist Papers with the text of the U.S. Constitution. So what are the overlays between those? Again, all using the C-SPAN video clips. So plenty of different ideas, but we're always looking for new ideas each summer.
That is exciting. And so if someone did want to be a fellow, would they go to C-SPAN Classroom to find the opportunity to apply, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a big button right at the top of the C-SPAN Classroom website that says Teacher Opportunities. So that includes not only our teacher fellowship, but also I'll turn over to Pam about, we also offer free virtual PD, and we also have teacher conferences as well. So not sure if you wanted to speak about those, Pam?
Yeah, so as Zach mentioned, you can get details about those programs on our Teacher Opportunities tab on a cspanclassroom.org website. And we update information, and applications become available more toward the beginning of the year and throughout the spring. We're excited because this upcoming summer will be the first time since before the pandemic we're going to be able to host an in-person summer educator conference, which is just so exciting for us. As Zach said, those opportunities, whether it's a fellowship or virtual professional development, we're happy to meet with teachers all across the country at a time that works for them virtually to run them through all the resources and programs we have. But in our in-person conferences, we learn so much from teachers everywhere about what is important to them, because they can tell us what they're seeing and what they need. So it's a perfect opportunity for collaboration among all of us. But yeah, look for that if you go to our website. But a great way to, as Zach noted, if you go there, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter that goes out on Sundays. And that is a compilation of new resources that might be topical and timely that are coming up, as well as free offers, whether we're going to be sharing a new poster that might be coming out. The American President's Timeline poster in the past has been a very popular one, those are free. We also have our Electoral College map poster that we've distributed that is wildly popular with teachers across the country, but also these opportunities for teachers. So applications will be available and teachers can stay on top of that and if they register for our weekly email. Yeah, that's it.
No, that is exciting. Let me ask you this, because, I come from the support type of side of education. And so immediately things like the League of Women Voters, like Girl Scouts, like those types of things kind of come to mind of out of the classroom educators that might be interested. Do you have to be a teacher to be able to access the C-SPAN classroom resources?
No, you don't. They're all free. Free and clear. So help yourself, everyone. We, not just traditional classrooms, we have homeschool teachers. And we say they're geared for grades 6 through 12, but university professors use our content. And you just reminded me when you pointed out the Girl Scouts that I had gone to a student camp ceremony locally in the DMV area. And these students did it as part of a Girl Scout project. So, the student camp does not just need to be done in a classroom. It doesn't need to be a class project. It could just be an extra credit project. Just inform students. We've had students who've seen a poster or heard about it and did it on their own because it sparked an interest for them. These clubs outside get involved. So I know I moved that in another direction, but you just reminded me that these programs and resources are available to everyone.
That's so exciting to me. And, there's part of, again, why I started this podcast, that education is not the responsibility solely of classroom teachers, right? It is a societal type of a responsibility, that all of us are teachers and influencers and all those types of things. So very exciting that you make those types of opportunities available. So, Zach, I want to start with you on this question. What do you find are the biggest challenges? You're doing lots of great work, but what challenges do you face?
Well, I think in our charged political climate, it's oftentimes, I won't say difficult for folks to use our resources or implement our programs in their classrooms, but it is difficult. For instance, there was, and I can't remember exactly which district it was recently, but we just saw a news article on social media that there's a district that has banned the teaching of anything related to the 2024 presidential election. So, I mean, you think about for better or for worse in terms of, focus on standards and, the applicability of certain lessons and topics. You think about, inside the classroom, just trying to maintain constructive discourse. So I won't comment on that necessarily, but in terms of all these resources that we are producing with that frame of mind that we think that they're balanced, or we know that they're balanced because we have multiple perspectives, and we'd like to see them used, but oftentimes us being the producers of this content, the consumption is out of our control. So it's our hope that we put everything out there, that it's able to be used by teachers constructively, that it helps to build classroom communities, that it helps to build civic awareness and understanding, across multiple content areas. But again, that's out of our hands. So we will do everything that we possibly can. As we've said, we're here to support teachers. Anything we possibly can to help teachers implement the lessons and resources in their classroom, to help implement student cam in their classroom. But it's difficult right now for folks to be able to use everything that we do produce.
Wow. Yes, I can totally see how that would happen. But boy, how sad is that? I'm so sorry. But Pam, would you like to kind of expand upon that as far as challenges that you wind up seeing?
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I just can't thank you enough for having us on this, because the question that you had us reflect on just led to really great conversations between Zach and I and our experiences, and just allowed us to reflect on what we're doing, and as teachers, always reflecting on what we can do and how we can do it better. We do that with everything we do. But one of the things we talked about, and something in my experiences traveling throughout the country, is equity, the digital divide in classrooms, and making sure that classrooms or teachers, they have access to our free resources. So I think that's one barrier that is a challenge for us. And, even shifting into COVID and privacy issues, and that increasingly becomes a problem. And, the great thing about working with, I'm just so thankful to be able to work with such a great team, because we really, we communicate so well, and we're available when teachers email us about an issue or a problem. We'll get right back to them. The three of us will talk about it and who can handle what, and have you seen this? So that I'll say is something that we've noticed and that we work on as we get those inquiries. But another one is how to reach up and coming teachers. So we were just having a conversation this week about how to spread the word about Student Cam and C-SPAN Classroom. We have traditional things we've done, but how can we reach them? I mean, I remember taking my social studies methods class, and I've been out of the classroom. I've been with C-SPAN since 2010 when I shifted out. And Zach, you just reminded me, it was leading into the 2008 election, and I was teaching students. It was about primaries and caucuses, and I was using C-SPAN. And I just saw the difference and the fire in these kids' eyes when they were learning about it, and the passion. And I thought, wow, I want to do this on a greater scale, which is what we're doing now. But I just wonder how we reach. So anybody listening, if you have any ideas on how we can reach these young teachers who are looking for content on certain platforms that they're familiar with, or if you know methods teachers who are looking for support, we've done that. Zach and I have done. We've sat in of classrooms, methods classrooms, and we've been a part of one evening's class to showcase what we have for teachers, because I remember trying to gather as many free resources as I possibly could. So those are the two things I think. It's accessing our free resources and meeting new up and coming teachers where they are.
We are definitely living in an age of information overload, aren't we? And part of that is shifting, sifting through all the various resources and whatnot. And I know you and I discussed the fact that you really, because of the climate that we're living in, didn't really want to work in this last question about what do you want decision makers to know. And so I definitely will respect that. One of the things that I would love to get from you guys, and if you're not able to answer, I totally understand that too, but we are in an age where disinformation is really running rampant. And so would either of you like to comment on how people can look at the information that's out there and be able to, kind of sift through what is accurate and what is not? Maybe some resources you could recommend, that sort of a thing, because I do think that, to me, as an outsider looking in, you all are offering a lot of great resources that are not biased and are, but really get to the facts. And that's some true journalism, in my personal opinion. But I wonder if either one of you would be willing to just chat about, as you're going through and you're looking at all the resources that are available, how do you sift through that as as a citizen?
Well, echoing what you had said too earlier about information overload, I was actually going to say too that another one of our challenges is just getting the word out about our resources, because we feel that right now our resources are on, I don't know, Pam probably has tabs on this, but maybe 10 different websites, everything from Share My Lesson to Civics Renewal Network to a bunch of different organizations, just trying to get the word out that, we have these resources. And hopefully they'll be very, very helpful in, as you said, this era of disinformation or misinformation. So I think that also then goes back to answering this question, and not necessarily to toot our own horn with C-SPAN, but that is what we are known for, is this long form coverage of no commentary, no editing, no analysis on our end. We just air what other people are saying. And one idea comes to mind right now, which I think Pam will also be happy to share some thoughts, is I just had the opportunity to attend the Democratic National Convention representing education team. Pam had the opportunity to attend the RNC. And you see a lot of social media traction from folks that are viewing these conventions about just how much they appreciate C-SPAN, because other networks will chime in with commentary. They'll cover up other people's speeches. They'll talk about, analyzing this last speech while this next person's talking, whereas we just turn the cameras on and let folks see what's happening. So I, again, not tooting our own horn, but C-SPAN is a great place to start just to see. I think that also is reflected in, as Pam mentioned earlier, some of our resources. We call them just our current events videos. Each one of those includes a graphic organizer that one of the questions is, who is speaking and what is their potential bias? So you can watch everything in its long form on C-SPAN or on C-SPAN Classroom, and then students can begin to reflect on who's talking, what are their potential or perceived motivations. How might that be skewing what they're saying? And then from there, they can maybe springboard into these other resources that there might be generally perceived thoughts that maybe they skew left or they skew right, or that's inappropriate or incorrect or biased or what have you. But starting with C-SPAN and then branching out from there, because what you're going to find on our network is just the words of what the person's saying, and that's it. Pam?
You hit it on the head. It's primary source, right? You're hearing directly from the source. You're hearing the whole story. You can see watch the whole speech or whatever occurred. So that is a note that I made. That's what we do. We don't interpret. We don't analyze for you. I can tell you, in thinking about what you referenced, Zach, being at the conventions, how many people coming up saying, I loved watching C-SPAN's coverage. I mean, what a team we have. The network is amazing. And how it all comes together is just magic, a lot of hard work. But I heard people saying, I just was able to watch the whole thing for myself and hear directly from that individual. And I did a quick search. So if anyone is interested, if you go to C-SPAN Classroom, cspan.org/classroom, you can search for media literacy, and then you'll see we have resources that have public trust in the media, why does misinformation spread, news literacy skills and misinformation, improving news literacy skills in students. So there's a variety of content that we have available to talk about that very issue. But media literacy is definitely something, and I know that that's a conversation that's going on across the country.
It absolutely is. And, all of those talking heads, I think this move to 24/7 coverage has introduced a lot more bias. So kudos to C-SPAN for allowing people to make decisions for themselves and hear things without a spin. So thank you so much. And I can't believe we have come up to the end of our time already. I feel like I could talk to you guys all day, but I just want to thank you so very much for the extremely important work that you are doing and the opportunities that you are offering both to teachers and to students. And I recommend everybody hop on to both cspan.org/classroom and studentcam.org to be able to see the fruits of this amazing labor. So thank you.
Okay, no, thank you so much. And I just want to give a shout out, because all this, wouldn't be possible without our funding, our cable partners. People think we are not funded. We get no funding from the government. And I just wanted to make that point, because they come out to our student cam ceremonies oftentimes too. They were there in Lexington when we were there. So thank you. Thank you for that, because we're able to do what we can.
I didn't realize that either. So I'm so glad that you brought that point forward. All right. Well, thank you again for being part of Education Perspectives. And I encourage the listeners to go and check the show notes for these links, because all kinds of great resources there.
Thank you so much for having us.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Education Perspectives. Feel free to share your thoughts on our Facebook page. Let us know which education perspectives you would like to hear or share. Please subscribe and share with your friends.